Alright, hey guys, it's Toopy, and a lot of people have been asking me to make a much more in-depth video about this build. Um, I was streaming this build, and I apologize that I'm a little bit late on this video, but I spent a whole day streaming, going over the build, and a lot of people had the same problems throughout the day, or the same questions throughout the day with the build. So I kind of want to go through a lot of those questions I answered, and kind of recap them in one spot so people have a quick guide as to how the build works, what it's good at, what it's not good at, and different tips and tricks about the mechanics, and some unique things that come into play when you have this high of attack speed with this type of build. So I did some testing. I finally got to run some maps with some friends. We were doing some 73 maps with no issues at all. I was able to do a lot of damage, and I was pretty tanky. The only thing that was really a challenge was doing map piety. That's just a lightning resistance issue, and she's not friendly to melee. But when it comes to things like ROAs and physical damage or packs that charge at you, those are not an issue. So first off, I'll go over my gear. A lot of people have a lot of questions about this. So I'm going to go through some things that are good about my gear, some things I want to improve on, and different things you can do. So first off, being that it's a physical build, you're going to want pure physical weapons. Elemental damage does absolutely nothing for you. So first thing, I have a one-handed sword. It does 300 physical DPS. And I also have another one-handed sword, which is about the exact same DPS, 300. They're both like 300.5 or so. And one's slightly fast, the other one's kind of medium speed. But you'll notice my attack speed is still absurd, but I don't have to invest in any attack speed nodes with this build. Or I don't have to go for attack speed, and I don't need necessarily fast weapons. All of your attack speed will just come naturally by going for those huge physical damage nodes. My helmet, currently I'm running Bringer of Rain. It doesn't allow me to use a chest piece, but it's an amazing helmet for this build, and frankly it wouldn't be the blender without it because it has that added gore along with the Demon Hand Cleave added gore. It just makes it nice. Ideally, I would want to replace this with a great 6-link. The Bringer of Rain is great for damage, it's like a 7-link. It's got that built-in blind, which is awesome, and it's just got crazy damage and crazy block on it. However, you run into a lot of resistance issues using this helmet. As you notice, there's no resistances on it at all, and it makes it so you can't use a chest piece. And not being able to use a chest piece, you're going to have a lot of issues getting resistances, especially because it's dual wield and you're not having a shield. My amulet, I run an amulet that's just really high resistances with decent life leech and very high mana leech. With this build you can get away with 1% mana leech. I'm using a bug I'll show you. Right now I'm currently using blood magic. That's just a convenience thing, but I realistically don't need blood magic at all. I just have it in there for no real reason. And then my rings are survivability combined with physical damage and attack speed. That's on both rings. Intelligence is nice on gear because being a duelist, you're not going to get any intelligence. My gloves are pretty good. Low life roll, but it's got strong physical damage, good attack speed, and good resistances. My belt, ideally, I'd want to get a Resic Sash due to the changes they made with it. But right now, I just have some pretty solid stats on my belt. Max life, double resist, and some armor. And then stun duration actually isn't bad with a build that does physical damage like this. Boots, with a build like this, movement speed is not very important because you're using Whirling Blades to get around all the time, along with Leaf Slam. And then there I have, standard life resistances, nothing crazy about them. So for my gems and skills, that's what's great about this build is that you have so much flexibility with your skills because you're not bound to using every single required aura that like an Elemental Cleaver would use. So right now I'm using the Haste aura and Determination, along with Grace and Hatred. Haste is a completely optional aura, and that 13% or so attack speed you're getting from it is fun if you can get that, but it's not necessary at all. Haste is completely tradable if you have another aura you need. If you're not resistance capped, you can do Purity, for example. But right now I run Haste just because I have the extra mana flow. I'm using Blood Magic as well, so the attack speed is kind of fun. Determination and Grace are very important. It gives you a lot of armor. Whoopsies. That skill's just turned off there. Accidentally switched weapons here. So let's go ahead and turn those back on. You get about 11k armor, and that's with only 3 armor nodes. Over the next 7 levels, as I level up this character up, I'm going to be picking up about 100% more armor, so I'll probably be landing about 16 to 20k passive armor, and then when you use your potions, you get up to 32k armor, 33k, which is just absurd with the most recent patch because armor is so much more effective now. So for gems, my sword, I just have it supporting some auras. Same with my other sword. I'm using Purity and Hatred with reduced mana. Reduced mana is very important on those supports. And then my helmet, that's where I actually support my attack, which is a 7-link cleave. You have the 18 physical damage, you have the faster attacks, blind, added fire damage, blood magic. Blood magic is completely situational, and I'll show you why. Especially if you have mana leech, you don't need that. And then multi-strike. Being a physical build, people say multi-strike is actually bad because it reduces your armor penetration. I'm going to show you why multi-strike is absolutely needed in this build, and especially if you're going to be running mana leech. And then cleave, of course. So when you run mana leech with 10 attacks per second and multi-strike, your mana will actually glitch, and half of your attacks mana cost will just be refunded to you outright as you cast them. So I'll show you that in the video as well. And then my boots, I just have all my mobility things on those. I run 2 different mobility skills. One is Leap Slam. It's great to have control. Leap Slam lands you whatever place you go to or you mouse over. And then Whirling Blades is a very quick getaway situation. Say, oh shit, I've got people surrounding me and I'm in a bad area. Whirling Blades a couple times and you're safe. Leap Slam is also great for jumping over ledges, but it's a little bit slower than Whirling Blades, so that's why I have both. My gloves, right now I have Temporal Chains, probably going to get rid of that. I was just playing around with it and experimenting. Grace, that's very important, gives you a huge mana buff. And then Vulnerability. Vulnerability is great, but ideally I would probably run Vulnerability and Enfeeble. I'm probably going to be picking up Enduring Cry, and I'll go over my build in a little bit in this video, explaining why I'm going to be doing Enduring Cry and where I want to go on the tree and my ideal end goal build will be. And then as far as gear upgrades, obviously my weapons could be a little bit stronger. They're still very good, but I eventually want to get rid of Bringer of Rain. Bringer of Rain is great if you don't have a 6-link piece, but right now I have 2 things that mainly kill my character. One of which is Chaos Damage, the other is Desync. With a build like this, Desync is unavoidable. It's going to happen because you move so fast and you're using Whirling Blades to go everywhere. So, Chaos Damage, I have negative 60. Previously, I was at 0% because I had 30 Chaos on my chest piece and 30 on my helmet. So, ideally, I want a solid 6-link chest piece, and I would get rid of Bringer of Rain. The downside is I lose a little bit of block, or quite a bit of block, and I no longer have that Blind gem. However, Blind, you can make up for that. Right now I'm not using Unwavering Stance, so I can be stunned. I don't run Unwavering Stance temporarily because Blind doesn't work when you have that, or at least that's what people have told me. So if I replace my chest piece with the 6-link and got a solid helmet as well, I would pick up Unwavering Stance because stuns can be annoying and you don't really have any evasion anyways, so there's no reason not to get it. So now that I've gone over my gear a little bit and what I'd like to do with that, I'm going to show you my build. So this is my current build. I'll also link it in the description of this video, and I'm just going to go through a tree quick and explain why I'm getting certain things. A lot of people have asked if this build is viable in hardcore. In its current state, you'd want to go for defenses sooner than I have. This is definitely a more casual softcore oriented one, but it's going to be very viable in hardcore, especially with the buffs that have happened. And you don't have to stack a lot of health to do so. So right now, I'm going down. You basically want to avoid going for just straight attack speed. It will come naturally with this build. So I don't get these attack speed nodes. They're not worth it at all. Every attack speed node I get leads to something else that's very important, and isn't just an attack speed alone, with the exception being Berserking, because that's 15% for 1 point, and I'm not going out of my way for it at all. So, Master of the Arena, it's pretty good. Obviously, you need to connect everything. Pick up Steel Skin. Armor nodes are huge. Armor got buffed a lot this last patch, and you're going to need quite a bit of it, and there's no reason not to. You can replace a lot of the old health stacking that used to happen, and you can replace that with armor now. Obviously, you still want a decent amount of health. As you notice, I'm running 2.5k though, and I'm still able to tank huge hits from Roas charging me on high level maps. We were doing level 73, 74 maps without any issues at all, and the DPS on this build is absurd. When you get all of your auras built in and stacked up, right now I'm running about 26k DPS. So you're going to want to come down and get Troll's Blood or Golem's Blood, and I come down and pick up Bravado. Ideally, if you're not running Bringer of Rain, you're going to want to come down and pick up Unwavering Stance. That's a huge one. Getting stunned can get you killed pretty easily, especially if you don't have crazy high armor or if you're running slightly lower HP. So I would come down and get Unwavering Stance. And then big one is Iron Reflex. This is probably the most important passive in this. It gives you a lot of gear flexibility. You can get evasion gear and still be fine. So it also plays into the fact that if you come on pick up Leather and Steel, that's going to give you that evasion buff or armor buff, whichever one is higher is what it'll apply to if you're running with Iron Reflexes. But it gives you the advantage of being able to double stack Granite Flasks. As you saw, I use 2 Granite Flasks at once when I try to buff my armor. That's because one of them is a perfect 100% increased armor effect, and the other is evasion. So you get the armor benefit from the flask, and then if you put the evasion flask up as well, that just further increases your armor. And then I go up Emma Dexterity for 2 points is very good. 4% attack speed, 24 physical damage. No reason not to get that. Up here, I have the Intelligence node because this build does lack Intelligence because you're a duelist and there's not any intelligent path nodes that lead to anything else. And Fencing, that's very good. 2 points, gets you attack speed and physical damage. Right now, I have this Elemental Resistance node. This is an entirely optional node. It depends on your gear if you have good resist from gear. I'm a little bit under cap if I don't have this, so temporarily I have to do that. And that's something where you probably won't need that if you're not running with a Bringer of Rain helmet. You actually have a real chest piece and helmet. Right now, you'll notice I'm skipping on some life nodes. If you're doing hardcore, I definitely recommend picking them up because they're very convenient and right there. But life is not nearly as important anymore, and people really need to get over path of stack HP because that game is changed and meta's different, and you can go a lot more offensive now because your survivability will come from armor and mitigation and lower monster damage. I pick up Dervish. That's 16% physical damage. There's no reason not to get it now that it's gotten buffed, and you have a 10% block chance. That's huge. And then obviously Acceleration is a great node on the way. So I come up, and as far as damage goes, I'll show you why I have so much attack speed without going for attack speed. I have Wicked Blade, which gives you attack speed. Then all the nodes there are hybrid nodes that with attack speed built in. I've got Blade Master, which is a physical damage node, but it's got attack speed built in. Along with the nodes on the way there, they're hybrid nodes. Same up here, and this as well. You have physical damage, and then you have attack speed on the way to that physical damage. That's why I'm not going for these attack speed nodes, because 8% is really nothing when your attack speed is already this high. On the way, I get these nice 10% life nodes, and I have a couple physical sword ones. 12% for 2 points. It's not bad at all. Right now, because I run added fire damage, I'm using Lava Lash. Lava Lash is very good. It's about a 20% total DPS increase. I'm trusting the math of a streamer or a viewer of my stream right now, but he calculated out, he says about 20% DPS increase when you're running added fire damage that's fully leveled up. Then I get to the Marauder portion tree. Some people have come up with some awesome builds that go up towards the Shadow portion, and I've seen some pretty good ones with that. But right now I'm at the Marauder portion because there's a lot of awesome mitigation there. As of right now, I get Diamond Skin because, again, I have resistance issues, not running helmet or chest piece. I have resist, and you get a lot of cool options as far as adjusting your resistances based on what you need. For example, I could have gone down the fire resistance path, but I have way too much fire resistance, so I opted to just skip around and go straight to Diamond Skin. Heart of Gladiator, 30 life, very good. And then Troll's Blood, life regeneration is very important, and I just pick up the health nodes because they're solid. Big one, I'm running Resolute Technique. In my previous video, I said that I wasn't missing monsters, and I had realized that it's because your hits are calculated independently of cleat. So I was hitting 90% of the time or more, but that's because my offhand and main hand both had a 75% chance to hit. So if my offhand missed, I still hit with my main hand, but that was causing me to lose a lot of damage, and I really want to thank the viewers of the videos for pointing that out and let me investigate that more, because I thought I just wasn't missing. But when I missed, it was just half damage instead of a full miss. Right now I'm not picking up Elemental Adaptation. It's at only 2%. I may pick that up in the future, but I will be doing more looking into that to see how the resists play out with 2%. 5%, it was a no-brainer to pick that up. And I will be picking up these stamina nodes. I'm going to be running endurance charges with Enduring Cry eventually, but that's in a couple levels from now. Ideally, I'd say in about 6 or 7 levels from now, I'll consider this build done at level 92. At level 92, I'll have 50% more armor from this area. I'll have this node here. I'll have stamina there for another endurance charge. And I have 2 awesome armor nodes, or 3 awesome armor nodes from the Marauder portion of the tree that I'll be doing as well. So I'll be about 100% more armor, 2 endurance charges, and then I may or may not go Elemental Adaptation. However, I'm going to want to get a 6-link chest and a different helmet if I'm going to be doing that. Because getting Unwavering Stance, that pretty much negates any benefit that you get from the Blind and Bringer of Rain. So there's no point in really using Bringer of Rain at that point. But either way. So now that I've shown my tree a little bit, I'm going to show a couple mechanics that are pretty cool and unique about this build. A lot of people have asked, how does it handle physical reflect packs? Not an issue with me at all. 1 second, let me reply to my friend here. Currently working on a guide video. Alright, sorry about that. So, physical reflect, because I have so much armor, it's not an issue, and I have so much life leech, it's not an issue. Worst case scenario, if you're running a higher level map and you jump into a big physical reflect thing, you just want to have your granite flasks up. So, conveniently, there's a physical reflect pack right next to me, and I'll go ahead, I'll just use 1 granite flask and I'll show you what happens. I'm doing pretty much pure physical damage at this point. I'll group them up nicely so you can see. Alright, looks like I desynced there for a little bit, but barely took any damage. Obviously you'll take more depending on the pack and if you're in a higher level area. But the reason physical is not an issue is 1, the life leech, 2, I've got high armor, but 3, multi-strike. Multi-strike, the whole armor penetration equation works in your benefit in that case, because you'll take a lot of physical damage if you're hitting slow, hard hits, because you're going to get 1 big damage thing reflected back at you. But with multi-strike, you have 3 smaller damages reflected back at you, so your armor will negate pretty much all of it. And you're still doing enough damage to where you're still stunning monsters and ignoring armor. It's just not enough is reflected back to ignore your armor. So I'm still getting a lot of armor penetration because my damage is so high with this last patch. And you can see it's because monsters are getting stunned. If a monster is getting chain stunned, armor penetration is affecting them. Obviously this is just Lunaris Temple, it's nothing major. But the same thing happens in maps, especially if you have a group member shock stacking for you, you're going to be doing a lot of damage. For example, if you're hitting something that's dying fast, second a teammate gets a shock stacks on, it melts and dies instantly. It's a very good group build. Obviously, you'd want to do a bit tankier in hardcore or onslaught league, but it's still viable. Yeah. So next I'm going to show you an awesome mana leech glitch that I discovered, and it really makes this build very viable, especially if you're not running a 6-link. You can pull this off with a 5-link. 6-link is obviously ideal, and because of the mana leech glitch, I can almost sustain a 7-link attack with about 70 mana per attack. So just for showing this, so you have a better visual indicator of what's actually happening, I'm going to take off haste, that way I have a larger mana pool. I'll go ahead, I'll probably grab, I don't need a hybrid flask just yet. I'm going to show you the mana refund glitch. Right now I have 3% mana leech from gear, but my mana will drop down to about half instantly, and then will teleport back up. Teleport's probably not a good word for that, but yeah. So let's find a larger pack here that's not going to die in 1 hit. And I'm going the wrong way. I'm just going to make a new instance. I apologize about this. This video is kind of unorganized. I'm not going to do any editing to it, frankly, because I don't have the time or I'm too lazy. Maybe a combination of both. Alright, so here's a decent sized pack. As you notice, my mana is jumping up pretty fast there. Want to find a slightly higher life pack? That's a good example. as you can see, it would glitch up and down much faster than the the mana leech cap allows. And people say, oh, I should run weapon elemental damage in place of multi-strike. Not a chance. It's completely unsustainable. It technically has a lower mana cost over time, but your mana leech does not come back that same speed. And that's not because I'm doing less physical damage, it's because you can't bycast that hard 12.5% cap. And figures, I just get some instances here that have no large packs. Alright. Again, you can see it dropped down and glitched back up a couple times in that swing right there. And this allows me to sustain attacks on Piety. I can go single target and just slaughter Piety, even though my mana drains that fast. Whereas if I go grab weapon elemental damage, or hell, I'll even take out multi-strike. That lowers my mana cost to 20 on hit. You know, I'll go ahead and I'll grab weapon elemental damage in place of it. And you'll see how I can't sustain attacks that way. My weapon elemental damage is pretty low level, so I have to apologize about that. I think my higher level one's on a different character. So, right now my mana cost on hit is 35 with weapon elemental, and with multi-strike it is 37. So technically multi-strike should be harder to sustain. But I'll show you just how high the mana cost is on this character and why multi-strike is so important aside from just that physical reflect issue. As you see here, I'm doing about the same damage, actually a bit less damage, but I'm completely running out of mana, and if I didn't have mana potions, I can't sustain that. Swap it with multi-strike, my DPS is higher. I'll compare, so I'm going from 22k, obviously it's not leveled, granted, but to 24k without my haste on. And I'll show you how much easier it is to sustain with multi-strike, even though the mana cost per second is higher. Got stunned there because I jumped in and wasn't attacking, but as you see, it just glitches back up. So multi-strike is great in that regard. And multi-strike is fun. It has a lot of utility in that it automatically targets around, monsters around you, so I can just hold one direction down, and everything in the circle will die. Completely sustainable. I can even turn haste on, and I'll only have a 100 mana pool, and I can still sustain that. Without mana potions even. So let's turn haste on. As you notice, I can still sustain my attacks much better than when I had elemental damage on there with over double the mana pool. And that's because of the glitch. I don't know how the glitch works, don't ask me. I'm assuming it causes a desync with your attacks where it thinks that your attack isn't actually being cast and it just refunds your mana. But if someone knows more, please let me know. I'm going to go ahead and rush to Piety here. This build is great. It's a great rushing build. It can clear the game in just a matter of a couple minutes. You can just run to all the bosses incredibly fast. I'm going to go ahead and throw my blood magic in there just for convenience sake. But say if I had a mana pool of around, I don't know, maybe 400 or so, after all my auras were turned on, I could actually sustain a 7-link attack, which would be blind, weapon elemental damage, added fire damage, melee physical damage, faster attacks, multi-strike. I may have missed one in there, but that's one of the reasons I want a 6-link, is that way I don't have to worry about sustaining that blind, and I can run a 7-link. You can see here why desync is an issue, and why this build isn't necessarily going to be the best for hardcore if you're not building defensively, because you're going to desync quite a bit. But I will contest that this is one of the most entertaining builds to play. There are stronger builds out there. There are builds that will do more damage. There's ones that have more damage and survivability, but nothing this fun. I have an Ethereal Knives character. I've got a Lightning Arrow character. I have a Freeze Pulsar. Nothing is as fun as this character, even if they're stronger. It's to the point where I can't even play them. Piety, if you get lucky as far as her phases, and maybe she goes into fire form, it's like maybe an 8-second Piety kill if it goes well. We'll go ahead and I'll clear out Piety, and I'll probably end the video at that. If you guys have more questions, I apologize. This video is not very thorough. It's kind of unorganized. I just got home. You know, just wanted to give a bit more information about what I'm doing. Piety, kill all the frost things. They're annoying as hell. What's cool is when you hit this attack speed, you actually can kill her things as she's running to them. No, get over here. Alright, cool. So she'll try and enter, say, one of her little portals, and it'll die as she's trying to cast it, which is a lot of fun, because 90% of the time she can't even move. So yeah, again, I apologize. This video is very disorganized. I didn't have any like clear path or anything laid out or planned as far as making this video. I thought I'd just hop on quick and give you guys a little more detail about my build. So yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate all the positive feedback I've had. I just want to thank you guys again. I will be streaming quite a bit. I'll stream tonight. Obviously, tonight is relative to where you're watching. I'll be streaming about every weekday. I'll link my Twitch TV in the video. I got a lot of viewers, and I really appreciate that. And I'm probably going to be trying a similar, but more tanky build in the Onslaught League. And if you guys want to be trying to build, feel free to add me. I'll run maps with anyone. I'll help them out with builds. You know, the best part of this game is the community, and this game has a great community. And I just want to thank you guys again.